Get ready.
Disneyland Paris has had a tumultuous journey to date, from its initial underwhelming performance to the launch of its second park that many view as the worst Disney park in the world. Needless to say, it hasn't always been plain sailing for the Walt Disney Company as far as its Paris resort is concerned. But this summer has seen a new chapter in the recent failures of Disneyland Paris, with chaos throughout both parks and widespread disruption on account of cast member strikes. Before we jump into the details though, please take a minute to give the video a like and to press subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps keep our channel going. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at why Disneyland Paris is in trouble. Get ready. The reasons Disneyland Paris is in trouble. France has a history formed on striking and civil unrest. It's intertwined throughout the country's past and is almost a fundamental part of its culture too. France has a rich tradition founded in labour activism, which has formed its socio and political context. Most notably, France as we know it today as a republic was founded following the French Revolution, which saw a decade of radical political and societal change. It established France with a core set of values founded in liberal democracy, and these are still central to France's political dialogue today. As seen more recently, there have been a number of demonstrations across the country for the last number of months in dispute against the proposal to raise the age of retirement from 62 to 64. With such a colourful background, it's no surprise that France still sees a number of labour strikes and demonstrations regularly. Most recently, this has brought the spotlight to Disneyland Paris. Cast members are striking mainly over a dispute surrounding pay, with the demand of an extra €200 a month in wages. This request for additional pay came after it was reported that each staff member at the resort generated $130,000 for the Walt Disney Company. Despite the huge impact of COVID-19 over the last few years, things seem to have bounced back for Disneyland Paris. This astonishing figure suggests that the resort's workforce have been performing at quite an optimal level, maintaining revenue and sales and providing their worth in return. This figure does not suggest profitability or overall growth in their balance sheet, but it's a clear demonstration of the disproportionate distribution of money throughout the business. As well as the additional bump in their paycheck, cast members are also asking for double pay for Sunday shifts and allowances for their commute to work. Striking officially began on May 26th, which saw 500 staff walk out of their job for the day. Within a week, the number of striking cast members had doubled, and this saw protesting staff march throughout both parks. Equipped with signs and shouting chants, they caused disruption across the resort. Cast members from a wide range of professions took to Main Street USA, including character actors in their costumes. At one point, Sleeping Beauty Castle was occupied by protesting staff. Despite meeting with executive management of the resort towards the end of June, the union stated that Disney were not budging and did not provide any reasonable offers. What is the impact? As you can expect, with hundreds if not thousands of staff occupying the resort and its parks, it has had a knock-on effect for many guests at Disneyland Paris. Guests over the last couple of months have been faced with marching staff members within the parks, blocking pathways and causing disruption to usual park operations. Considering the reduction in staff, including character actors, this has caused cancellations of entertainment attractions such as parades, shows and even nighttime spectacles. Rides have also had to close due to the issues with resourcing, causing a reduced roster of attractions across both parks on the days of strikes. While some guests have shown a great amount of support for the cast members, many have voiced their frustrations online with how these demonstrations have negatively affected their trip to the resort. Guests visiting for the first time or those on their once-in-a-lifetime trip may have missed out on their opportunity to experience particular rides, catch a nighttime drone show, or even meet their favourite characters. Encountering a disgruntled cast member on the job is typically a very rare occasion in Disney parks, but many are now seeing the full reaction of these frustrations. While seeing a protest or demonstration outside of the boundaries of a Disney resort has become more common in recent years, it's definitely a startling sight within the confines of a park itself. Thanks to France's lenient labour laws for public companies, this means that staff are allowed to strike on the company's land. They also aren't obligated to give a forewarning ahead of the strike either, which, to the union's credit, they have been very forthcoming with providing this information in advance in an attempt to at least give guests a heads up. However, strikes ongoing in the parks themselves has meant that the overall atmosphere, or Disney magic as many would refer it to, has drastically shifted in the Paris resort. some have argued that this is enough to completely ruin their trips, meaning that the magic is gone and younger visitors are desperately disappointed for not getting the chance to meet their favourite character. How is Disneyland Paris failing? While the customer impacts have been very clear for Disneyland Paris, labour disputes are not uncommon for the Walt Disney Company. Just last year, both Disneyland Resort and Walt Disney World cast member unions entered into disputes with their employers over pay and benefits. This was successfully negotiated, finding a suitable deal for both parties. But this only came about after Disney's rivals Universal Orlando Resort raised their base pay for their own employees. With that said, the disputes between cast members and Disney in their Paris resort has been far more public and disruptive. It represents a huge crack in the perfect Disney facade and brings to light the underbelly of the company as strictly a business. Initial talks with the Paris Union were said to be stubborn, with no give from the side of Disney, leading to this action to linger for longer than either side would like. These failures don't just revolve around reputational damage though, but also where Disney cares most, their pocket. Yes, this disruption has also had a big impact on Disney's finances, allowing guests to change their bookings to avoid the days of strikes. This obviously has knock-on effects for potential earnings, with people opting to avoid the resort on these days. Not only that though, many guests have actually received refunds for their visits based on the number of interrupted offerings in the parks. As you've mentioned, the reported figure of $130,000 per staff member is not necessarily indicative of financial performance. There are several other factors and expenses to account for which eats into companies' margins. Disneyland Paris has historically been the black sheep in the Disney Parks family based on its underperformance. Needless to say, losing revenue on account of a very public dispute with staff is definitely a sore point for the company. These demonstrations have been disruptive to the everyday guest, and everyone can and should sympathise with those that have had negative experiences. With that said though, the workers definitely have a right to strike and demand pay and benefits that they see fit for the level of work that they do. At the end of the day, guests are far more likely to come in contact with a cast member in the parks that make their day extra special, rather than the resort's CFO, who is definitely on a significant amount more than a ride operator. There are no Disney parks without Disney cast members. They are, in their own words, the ones that make the magic. While Bob Iger's return has been applauded by fans, it may be slightly hard to stomach for many staff considering he is reported to earn around $27 million a year for his role after bonuses. Similarly, Disneyland Paris reported a huge profit of $51 million in 2022, as well as a record-breaking $2.6 billion in revenue. Considering these basic facts, it's not hard to see why cast members are seeking additional pay and benefits, as well as when you factor in current accelerating rates of inflation. Recent statements from the cast member union have said that all strikes will pause for the remainder of the summer, given the recent civil unrest across the capital of France, with thousands protesting against police violence. The union also doesn't want to overly impact the summer peak season, and they are due to meet with Disney later on in the summer. Again, as seen before, it seems to take significant outside influences for Disney to address these unions, as mentioned with Universal Orlando adding to their pressure. Hopefully Disney will come back to the table with a more suitable offer and get themselves back out of trouble. If you enjoyed this video and still have a Disneyland Paris trip coming up, don't worry, there's still plenty to enjoy and plan. So check out our best restaurants at Walt Disney Studios Park, a link will be on screen now. What's your opinion on the current situation at this resort? Leave a comment down below and let us know. And now you're ready.